There we are. So my name is Aylward. I am joined here today for a interview as part of my lessons, stories and inspiration series by the wonderful Yolande Olhaus Sluiter, who is in South Africa. How are you, Yolande?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. How are you?
Good to hear. Yes, I'm very well. I was just it's a really, really, really beautiful day. We have had quite a few storms in Germany, but it seemed to have passed and the sun was just sort of shining through the window a few moments ago, just as I was preparing for today. And it's a very nice morning, which affects the mood. When the weather's nice, I sort of feel better.
It does, definitely, yeah. But it's been raining in South Africa for the last 5 days, which is very unusual.
Oh wow!
But we need it. So we're not complaining. We're very grateful.
I'm sure. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for making time available for this interview. I'm really excited to sort of share you and your message and your gifts with the people watching. So
thank you for having me, Will. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure. And for the people watching, I met Yolande in Tuscany last October on Carl Brooks's retreat for coaches, and we had a unforgettable, I'm sure you'll agree, an unforgettable week
Absolutely.
in the sun in October, which was very rare on this retreat, with lots of good wine and lots of learning as well. It wasn't just drinking wine, we should add, but just so that's how I know you. That's how I know Yolande, for the people watching. And for the people watching, Yolande, maybe tell us a little bit about who you work with and how you help them.
Okay. When I originally started coaching, which is now 5 years ago, I'd recently qualified in the coaching fields, having come up I spent 30 years in recruitment. So I've always been very passionate about changing people's lives, but originally more from a career perspective. However, I found a passion inside of myself that I wanted to do more than that, which is where the personal development coaching came in. So when I originally started coaching, I kind of started coaching anybody who wanted to be coached. But over the last 5 years, I've really sort of found my niche and defined it. So mainly, I coach mainly professional women. And often what happens, women find themselves fulfilling so many different roles in life. We are professionals, often entrepreneurs. We run our own businesses, or even if we're just an employee, or I say just an employee. We are mothers. We are homemakers. We are wives. We are friends. We have these multiple roles that we fulfill in our lives, and obviously that brings a lot of demands on our time, often resulting in stress, which we all know leads to, a whole multitude of other things, such as failed relationships, health issues. So really what I do is I work with women who kind of have this label of wanting to be Superwoman, wanting to do it all, wanting to be perfect at everything, putting a lot of pressure on themselves. And what I see a lot in my practice is when that goes on for a prolonged period of time, they just lose themselves in the process. So what I do is I sit with them, listen. As you know, in coaching, we do a lot of listening. I help them formalize a plan to sort of step back into their own power again, to find their purpose in life, to ask themselves the questions like, what lights me up? What makes me happy? And to ultimately reconnect with themselves. We visualize a plan for them. And I always say, I'm going to take you from where you are to where you really want to be. And, everybody has that wisdom inside themselves to know where they really want to be. It's just all the external factors that come at us that make us forget, that make us not dedicate that time to ourselves, to really fill ourselves up. And that's what we need to do before we can really give to others.
Yeah, absolutely. You put it so well. I love when you speak. I said this before, like I can sit and listen to you speak. But it's so true. I can see how particularly women who identify with this, wanting to be Superwoman, even just having that initial hour or 2 hour, being listened to by you and being asked some questions about themselves, it must be powerful, but it also must be a bit strange because, being someone who identifies with Superwoman label, I imagine they're very selfless. It's often about other people. It's often about the needs of perhaps, the clients, if they're an entrepreneur, but certainly families. So do you find that it's almost people are a bit lost and like, whoa, this is, the spotlight's on me for once. Do you find that?
Yes. Yeah, I find it a lot, and it often manifests itself in the form of guilt. They feel guilty, spending time on themselves, thinking about themselves as to where they want to be. It's just something that they haven't done in such a long time. So it's almost like we go almost back to basics, and we start scheduling. We get quite strict about it, actually, as to, you need to schedule time for yourself. It also, guilt obviously is an emotion. So it brings out a lot of different emotions. The first session, and sometimes even the second, can be very emotional. There's a lot that comes out because often they haven't been able to talk to anybody for a very long time. It's you can talk to your friends, but they all, people like to talk about themselves. So, we go and have coffee with a friend and we tell our story, but people very quickly go, oh, but my story. And so it's for them to be able to sit and just talk and not to be judged. Which is also a biggie because they're judging themselves so much. So that's something else that's a realization that has to come to them, that you are not being judged in this environment. You can be truly who you are and truly say what what needs to come out.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the reasons why I think coaching is so powerful, and it's different from a real life conversation, because as you say, in a real life conversation there's this exchange, it's back and forth, and like you say, people love to talk about themselves, and it's I had that, because we want to seem alike. But just to have someone sit and listen to you, and almost, I like the idea of holding a space for someone. So having someone sit with you and hold a space and really listen to you and really come from a place of love and service, because I think friends please, they sort of tell us what we want to hear, whereas a good coach will really serve and will really challenge and maybe be a bit direct at times. So I think that can be huge for people, just to have an hour of time to talk about themselves and what's most bothering them or what they're struggling with.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, definitely. So what are these sort of what are the changes? What are the results? So at the end of 6 months or 12 months working with you, what do you tend to hear from your client? Because for me it seems to be almost the same sort of words. People talking about the same sort of effects. And is that the same for you?
What is interesting, it's often they start off by some goal setting. So there's something tangible that they want to achieve. So that's how the coaching process often starts. And sometimes they're quite big things. But at the end of the day, as you say, it always goes back to the same sort of core, where people, they come to coaching and they actually want to change the world. And they complete the coaching process actually realize that by changing their mindset, how they see things, how they have learned to let go of things, they've changed themselves. And by changing themselves and their mindset and their way of doing things, everything else automatically changes. It's like this thing, it doesn't matter what you look at, it's what you see. And by changing your, this mirror, basically it's this mirror, what goes inside of you, the world will mirror back at you. So it's this huge personal transformation and this stepping in one's own power and knowing who I now finally know who I am. And and I am good enough, because that's a big thing with a lot of ladies as well. Lots of, limiting beliefs in terms of, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. So I'm enough. Is something that often comes out.
Yeah. And what does that do for you when you hear somebody say those words? You've helped me to feel enough. What does that do for you?
Yeah. Coaching is just, it's amazing. To see somebody going through a transformation like that, it just makes me want to do more and more and more of it. Coaching has allowed me to connect with people, and connection is one of my highest values, being a people person. That connection and that growth, to see that in someone, to see that manifest, and to witness that over that period of 6 months or however long, the period is that we work together. It fills me with gratitude and compassion, and it makes me feel humble that I'm in this position, that I can actually share, my lessons in life. I'm constantly learning from my clients as well. Just share that with people and just make the world a better place. Even, the little bit, the world is a big place, but even if I can just do a little, it fills me with gratitude and compassion. I absolutely love it.
And that's all. And that energy sort of goes forward into the next call and the next client, and the magic gets shared. That's incredible.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's really interesting. You talk about how in the beginning a client will come with a goal, something more tangible, but actually the most maybe not the most fulfilling, but the most profound change is the shift in belief. It is the emotional side, it's the confidence. And I think so much, and not just women who identify with the Superwoman role, but I think all of us, we go looking for these external goals, and we think that they're going to give us something. Once I've got this goal, then I'm going to feel fulfilled, then I'm going to feel I've got self-belief, and I'm going to feel I'm enough. But for me, in my experience, it's the other way around. Once you feel that, the world changes, because the common denominator in every area of our life is us. If relationships are bad, if business is bad, okay, what's the common denominator? Oh, it's me. Maybe it's the way that I'm seeing it. Maybe it's the way that I'm responding to this event.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, as I say, it's wonderful to be able to facilitate changes like that, and to see people change their lives and just change their future, and take ownership of their lives. Life is so short, and life has to be lived. And it saddens me to see people be victims of possibly their childhoods. I see a lot of that as well. There's a lot of limiting belief in everybody, but particularly the clientele that I work with, that stem way back from their childhood. Things that. And sometimes it's just a single comment that their mum has made to them when they were a little girl. And sometimes it's something that happens over and over again, obviously. And it's amazing how that can hold people back. A grown woman, I've had a grown woman sitting in my office, a businesswoman, crying over something that her mother said to her when she was 7 years old.
Wow.
And to work through that, and to see the transformation, and to then also for her to make peace with her mom. Because all these years it had been sitting there and sitting there. And at the end of the 6 months, she made peace with it and she accepted it for what it was, and had an improved relationship with her mom going forward. So it's dropping that anger, that resentment, which is very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. This reminds me of, I think it's Buddha who talks about, holding on to anger is like picking up a hot stone, expecting to throw it at another person, but we're the only person who gets burned. We think that we're holding on to a grudge or holding on to this anger. It just hurts us, and people need to be forgiven, not necessarily because they deserve it. It's not about deserving; it's for your own personal benefit.
For your absolutely, yeah. You need to let go of it. Yeah. So I could write a book about the stories and the transformations that I've seen happening. Maybe I should do it one day.
I was going to say, is that a plan? Is that something you'd like to see happen?
It's interesting that you say that. It's kind of tucked away in the back of my head. This year I will not have time for it. My year is fully booked. But it's something that has been in the back of my mind. And I've even got the place where I want to do it, sort of. I know where I want to go to write the book. So,
Okay.
So who knows? Watch the space.
Yeah, sure. And that leads me really nicely to my next question. So, stepping into, as you say, you help women to step into their power. I absolutely know that you're firmly stood within your power. So what are your intentions for 2017? Both of us having attended the retreat with Carl Brooks and his year planner, I have embraced that. Yeah.
And it's completed for 2017. Obviously, carry on with my one-on-one coaching, do more Skype coaching, so I can reach more people, not necessarily living in Johannesburg, so I can go abroad, Cape Town and things like that. From a personal perspective, my word for this year is mindfulness. I've stepped up my yoga and meditation practice. I'm finding that this has a hugely calming influence over my life. And so I'm spending quite a lot of time learning about that, practicing it. The other thing that I'm really, really excited about is that I will be launching a series of workshops for professional women, basically what I do in my one-on-one sessions, but more in an environment, a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon, so I can get a group of ladies together and we can work through the workshop, and same thing, to reconnect with themselves. This series will run from April to August.
Oh, wow.
Johannesburg, Victoria, I'm still finalizing venues. And I'm busy with that at the moment. Yeah. So, the other exciting thing is that we're planning a move to Cape Town next year. So we're looking for property that would be suitable for retreats. I'd like to start running my own coaching retreats, workshops, meditation retreats. So, lots of exciting things happening. It's going to be a great year. Definitely. Wow. So many things. So move to Cape Town, the workshops, and looking at this property as well. Wow. So that's, so 2017. And I mean, it's already been a great year for you, I know, but, it's off to a good start. Yes. Yeah. It's been fantastic. Yeah. Wow. How exciting. And I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for a book as well, or talk of a book. You've you've inspired me there a bit, so I'll definitely add it to my list. Fantastic. Okie doke. So I know that there's going to be a lot of women watching who really identify with exactly what you've explained and who you help. So women who identify with this Superwoman role, who are forever busy, who often experience stress. They're not only being professional women, but they're looking after the household. Just because, as you described that, I think of so many people I know in my life from different parts, different places I've worked, even some family members who I know just should get on a phone call with you. So
So for someone who's watching and they've had a bit of a moment like, oh gosh, this is you just described me. This is me. I really identify with this role. What advice or tips would you give for someone who's listening who really thinks, wow, okay, that you just described me?
Mm-hmm. I think what's important, and what I've used in my own personal life as well, I think what we often forget is we get on this treadmill and we run. We don't really have a plan. I think it's important. It's like at work, when you tackle a project, you have a project plan. You have a look at it and you look, that's essential and that's not essential. So have a plan, have a vision. Know where you're going. Don't just run. And because by doing that, you're allowing lots of external influences constantly come in and sort of prioritize or take priority over where it is that you are actually going. So I think it's very important to have a plan, to have a vision, know where you're going. Also, know who you are. Like I said earlier on, ask yourself, what lights you up? What really makes me happy? And step into that and do more of that. Don't make sacrifices constantly and say, look, I'm not important enough. The kids come first, or the job comes first. I have to work 14 hours a day. It's important to know who you are and what it is that makes you happy. I often use the aeroplane oxygen sort of scenario here. Like I say, when the oxygen masks drop, put your own one on first before you help others. And it's so important. You cannot help others if you're not full yourself. So that's important. The guilt thing that we chatted about earlier on, learn to say no without feeling guilty and without having the need to make excuses. It's enough just to say, no, I'm not available. No, I can't do it. It's very important. Also, it's to live intentionally. Take a few minutes in the morning when you get up and say to yourself, today's going to be a great day, and today I'm going to achieve just one or two things that you'll be able to achieve, because at the end of the day, it's tick, I've done it, and it gives you that confidence to go to do it again and to get up again the next day, and it's very powerful. So that's the beginning of the day. And at the end of the day, I truly believe in practicing gratitude. Take a little journal at the end of the day, or tablet, iPad, whatever it is that works for you, and just write down your achievements of the day, your positive experiences, and be grateful for the good things that came your way during the day. Don't take it for granted. Just, be grateful. What I personally do is I schedule my diary. And before I do put anything else in my diary, I look at the month ahead and I schedule my me time first. So my Pilates class goes in religiously. My park run on a Saturday morning goes in religiously. And, unless something really, really, unexpected and has to happen for me to drop that. That is just a not negotiable. My family time over the weekend gets scheduled in. So because if you don't do that, your work time and your demand that other people make, it will take over. And you end up on the treadmill again. The other thing is ask for help. We always think that only we can do things perfectly. Ask for help, delegate. And especially in the home environment. Get your husband, your children, get them to help you. It might not be perfect, but it's okay. They learn from it. That's fine. So delegate. But I think what's really important here is, and for the ladies that are listening, there's a lot behind this need to be Superwoman. There's a lot of insecurities behind it, like we spoke about earlier on, that manifests itself in these limiting beliefs in us thinking that, we've got to try harder, we've got to run faster, we've got to do more, so we're seeking all these accomplishments, and that's often just because something else is lacking. So a lot of women struggle with that. So certainly, if chat to someone, chat to a coach, chat to a good friend, but just take a step back and allow yourself some time for yourself. So that's just off the top of my head a couple of things that I can share with you.
Wow. And all of those extremely, valuable. So having a vision, having some place where you're going to, because like you say, life is going to its demands are going to be putting us here and there. But if we have a solid vision, we know exactly where to go. Yeah. Exploring, who are you, what lights you up, making time for those things, and scheduling those in first. I think that's going to be something which is alien for a lot of us, because often when we think about to-do lists, it's always everyone else's. It's always what has to be done. But actually to put in first, almost, I can see how that's so effective, because it's almost sending a message like, okay, well, I come first, because I know that when I take care of myself, when I do my yoga, when I do my park run, I'm going to be showing up better for everything else. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're sort of living proof of this. You're able to give and, get people the results because you're doing this yourself. So helping yourself as well. And again, I love that metaphor of in the aeroplane when there's a disaster. They do always say, put your mask on first before you put it on. And it's another metaphor that comes to mind is the pouring from an empty cup. We can't give from our cup if it's empty. So we have to be full. We have to be in a good place in order to give.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And not feeling guilty. Again, that's something I hear as well. I feel guilty for taking time off. I feel guilty for making time for myself and just working through that. Setting intentions. So at the start of the day, having things to tick off, having things to complete. Of course, some things for yourself, some other tasks as well. Gratitude, I absolutely, I get. That's such a powerful state to be in. Gratitude, externally, so much can be happening. You could be in the middle of, personal crisis. And you can sit and think, wow, what's the opportunity here? What's trying to emerge from this? How can I grow? What opportunities exist for better relationships? There's always things to feel grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And asking for help as well. I think that's just taking that first step. And I think asking for help, there's a lot of people who want to do it all themselves and feel they can. And maybe that's a pride thing. I think it was for me a couple of years ago when I was going through some stuff, some anxiety, some debt. For me, it was I didn't want to ask, but making that initial phone call to someone. So I requested a call back for some debt advice. It literally changed everything. Just 2 minutes. Yeah. Somebody called back on the phone. Hi, you wanted some help. Complete stranger, but I hang up that phone and it felt like the weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders. So absolutely, ask for help, whether that's with a coach, whether that's with a friend, but just admit that you need help.
You're stuck, and I always say a problem shared is a problem halved, because somebody else will have a different perspective on it. Or absolutely, always ask, always share. And your load will be lighter for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about your journey and challenges or struggles that you've had, what would you say the biggest challenges that you've overcome? And the second part to that question is, like I said a moment ago, what emerged or what good came because of that challenge?
I think I've done a lot of my growth over the last sort of 5 years, having become an entrepreneur. I think that's just something that makes someone grow hugely. I think one of my biggest challenges has always been controlling my negative self-talk. Here we go again, not being good enough and being overly critical of myself, and comparing myself to other people. You end up chasing something that you don't really know what it is, because you're not being true to yourself. And when I through the coaching process, that's something that I discovered, and I've, by no longer doing that and not judging myself, it's embracing your uniqueness. We're all different. We all have our gifts that we can share with this world, and embrace that, and look at. A friend of mine said something the other day, and he said, we're all each other's teachers and we're all each other's students. And
wow.
that is such a lovely sort of philosophy to have in life, because you go out there and whoever you come in contact with, whoever you talk to, whatever situation happens to you, it's a learning process. It's you grow. So my biggest thing was definitely negative self-talk, comparing myself to others, and I think that was very much driven by perfectionism. It has to be perfect before I can do anything. It has to be perfect, and I think that's something I know that having started my own business. When I started it, there was a lot I didn't know, and still today there's a lot I didn't know. I don't know, but I have learned so much. I learn on a daily basis, and I've come to the realization that it's okay not to know everything. It's right. You do today I'm the best person that I can be today. Tomorrow I will know more, so I will be a better person than I was today. And that's a fantastic feeling. If I don't know something, I know there's someone else out there, like you said, who I can phone, who I can ask for advice, and you learn. We keep learning until the day we die. So that's, my challenge, as I say, was the being too critical of myself, and it's manifested in sort of, it's okay not to know everything, and you keep learning and just be the best person you can be today.
Yeah. That's such an interesting point. Negative self-talk is, everyone has that voice that pops up that says, either this won't work, you're not good enough. I think it's a lot of people talk about dealing or fixing or quieting. And I think it's just about accepting. It's about hearing that and realizing that that voice isn't you. The voice isn't the truth. It isn't actually what's happening. And it's always going to be there as well. I think once you realize that, okay, it's always going to be there, no matter how great or successful I become, I'm still going to have that voice, and I can still take action regardless. I can still learn. I can still grow, as you say.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Constant learning process. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I'd love to know, what would you say your why is? It's your motivation. So why do the work you do? Why, grow your own business? Because a lot of people who, will always work for somebody else. What motivates you to get up in the morning and live the life the way you live it?
I think once again, coming back to my values, when I first started coaching and I started understanding the concept of values, and I mentioned earlier on, one of my values is connection, and another one is growth. Another one is also freedom and independence. I was raised in the Netherlands, and my parents raised me as fiercely independent. I've always been a very independent person. And having worked for a corporate for 30 years, and I was very fortunate that I had a lot of flexibility in my job by virtue of client visits and account management and things like that. I was often on the road, so it allowed me a lot more freedom than a lot of people experience being stuck in an 8 to 5 sort of job. So I really enjoyed that. So when I took the plunge to start for myself, I think that was something that was really driving me. It's that freedom, that independence to be the master of my own time. I often work over the weekend. I coach on Saturdays because obviously a lot of ladies work during the week, so I will coach on a Saturday. But that also means that on a Friday I have time to sit and chat to you, or take my mom shopping, or go for a swim, or do you know what I'm saying? And that really motivates me, that freedom, that independence. recently, with my children growing up, I mean, they're now both in their early 20s. I think they've learned so much from me showing them or living my dream. I can see that they've slowly changed the direction of their life as well. I remember my eldest daughter saying to me just about a year ago, she's still a student but works part-time. She says to me, I really need to find a real job. And I said, well, what is a real job? She said, well, you get in the car at 7 o'clock in the morning and you sit in the traffic for an hour and you go to work and you sit there the whole day and you same process again at the end of the day. And then you get paid a paycheck at the end of the month. I said, it doesn't have to be like that. And at the time she still looked at me a bit, but I see over the last year, she's made the changes and she's also become very entrepreneurial in combining her studies with doing her own thing. And that's lovely to see. So that is a huge motivator for me.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
Yeah, your goals and also this feeling of freedom. And I think this is the biggest thing about, biggest motivation for many of us doing our own thing, creating our own thing, is just having that freedom, having that choice. Because at the end of the day, I love Byron Katie's work at the moment, and she talks a lot about the word should. And so in a book, Loving What Is, there's sort of 4 questions to sort of challenge when you're not feeling aligned. And the first question is it true? So a lot of people say, I have to work. I have to go to this job. I should be there at 9. And she goes, is that true? And really sort of challenge. And you think, well, yeah, I have to be at work at 9. I have to be. But she really challenges it. And you sort of look at it and you just realize how much we've conditioned to live a certain way and to, be part of this system. And that's, it's almost undoing what you've learned. Of course, we're always learning as entrepreneurs, but it's as much about unlearning and realizing that, okay, there's actually no rules. If I wanted to, I could go live in the forest. I could I could forage berries, and there's so many rules that really aren't rules. Of course, there's laws, but the rules that we feel we have to live by, they're just illusions. They're illusions. We can create, we can live certain ways.
Yeah. And that's what I love about the millennials at the moment. They're challenging all that. And that's fantastic to see, young people starting as entrepreneurs and they're just taking the leap. They're jumping. They're just making it happen. It's fantastic to see. So, yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, it comes back to this freedom. I know a lot of people, not just coaches, but entrepreneurs in general, who will live in Bali for 6 months, and then they live in Australia, and they live in Europe, and they just experience this location freedom, and that this completely goes against everything that they've learned from their parents and grandparents about how life and work should be. But the world's changed. And it's very exciting.
And you've got to go with it. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people sort of hold on tightly to, what they know. And if you do that, you're going to miss out. You're going to have to go with the flow. Yeah, very important.
Yeah, going with the flow, definitely. Okie doke. So I'd like to end just with a couple of fun questions. Of course, the whole interview's been fun, but a couple of thought-provoking questions for you. So the first one I pinched off a website. It's not my own. I wish it was. I think this is maybe more for sort of an interview, but I think it's still quite interesting. So I'll read it slowly because it's a bit of an odd one. You are a new addition to a crayon box. So a box of crayons. What color would you be and why?
Sure. I'm a little bit torn between 2 colors. I've always been they call it blue girl. I find blue very peaceful. It's the color of the sea. It's very calming for me. But But I think the transformation that I've been going through myself over the last couple of years, I'd have to go for yellow. And it's not yellow, it's not a color that I wear or anything like that. But yellow for me is the color of light. It's the sun. So yeah, brightness, warmth. I would go for yellow. Yeah, for those reasons.
Beautiful. I agree. Yeah, and almost energy as well. Yeah. So this life.
Yes. The light, the energy, the warmth, growth. Because without the sun, nothing.
Nothing
happens.
That's very true.
So, yeah, definitely yellow.
Oh, wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. I thought my answer when I read that was orange, just because, my hair, my logo, everything is orange, and it's about warmth and excitement and everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, lovely. I like that very much.
Yeah. And final sort of question. If you were invisible for the day, what would you do?
Sure. If I could go anywhere, I mean, I think I'd go find a quiet spot somewhere. Possibly the beach, because that's really appealing to me. And I would actually just sit and take in the sound and the smells and just ground myself. With nobody being able to interrupt and to that's what I would do. I would just go sit. Have peace and quiet, and just make the most of the sounds, the smells, the feel.
So just being very present, taking that time and that opportunity to be very present. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about being mischievous. I was about finding someone.
That's your red hair. Well, that's your red hair.
I think it is. Yeah. I think I'd go out and just, not cause horrible things, but just, I don't know, tap people on the shoulder and just go out and be doing that. But interesting. I love your answers. Really good answers. And of course, thanks. Everything that you shared is so valuable. I'm going to be sharing your website below so people can get in touch and learn more about you, and also reach out to say thank you, because like I said, everything is super valuable. So for now, I know we're going to be speaking again soon, but for now, thank you so much. Take care, and we'll speak very soon.
Thank you for having me, Will. It was absolutely delightful to be chatting to you again. Chat soon. Take care.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Will. Bye.